Some trends in technology. This kind of ties together with earlier I talked about being green. This is what actually helps telecommunications be green. The densities in terms of computation, optical capacity, storage. I mean, it's amazing to me at Christmas, right? You could buy these 1 gig, 2 gig, 3 gig, 4 gig SIM cards. In some places after rebate it was free. Like, it's mind-boggling to me that they give out these little 4 gig, even these flash drives, right? I mean, we give them out like candy almost now at trade shows. Because you get a 2 gig drive, it costs like $3 or something for us to put our logo on. It's amazing. Displays, in terms of high def resolution. We touched on wireless a lot, and software. Software continues to get more complex, but because of the computation capability and the storage capability, it's okay if our Windows operating system now takes 3 gig of memory. All right, small medium business trends. I'll go through this rather quickly because I think this is what you guys actually already know. I'm just going to reflect it back to see if it doesn't resonate with what you guys are finding. So for small medium business needs, we kind of broke it down into broadband access, phone service. I haven't really touched on basic phone service. We kind of take some of that stuff for granted, but there's local and long distance, and then other hosted applications. All right, so broadband I touched on earlier, right? The big thing before was T1 speeds, right? Getting a 1.5 megabit per second connection. Well, the trends here are very different now, right? So instead of having a T1 connection and using time division multiplexing, we're moving towards doing DSL over that, fiber, actually running a new fiber connection out, and then moving to Ethernet connectivity. Right, so for Ethernet connectivity, it's taking essentially the same interface that we use to connect our computer to our broadband modem, or how we wire our house. It's essentially taking that technology and end-to-end from your home or business, having Ethernet technology run all the way through the network. So there's no conversions going on between IP and TDM, which is time division multiplexing. That's the old way, or the traditional way that we've always done things. And then as we get to fiber and Ethernet connectivity, we're literally offering today, you can get, instead of just traditional 1.5 meg, you get 10 megabit circuits, 100 megabit circuits. We have some customers that actually want a 1 gigabit, single gig connection direct to their office, or 10 gig connection. And then 100 gig, the only customer Alcatel-Lucent has today that really wants a 100 gigabit connection is YouTube, is Google for YouTube. Google is pushing us very hard to say, hey, we want to have a 100 gig connection to our office. It's a little complicated because most of the backbone is 100 gig, right? We take these 1 gig and 10 gig and funnel into our backbone. They're saying, forget that, we want that backbone to come boom, right to us. And you need even more bandwidth in the middle of your network to aggregate our sites. So that's why I put even 100 gig on there. I don't know if any of you guys will need that, but if you do, let me know. The other thing that's happening is really multi-location, right? So how do you tie different branch offices or locations together? And so VPN is a virtual private network. And so there's technologies that say, hey, each of my offices can have this Ethernet or IP connection to the network from Westelcom. And Westelcom will be able to tie those locations together such that for you as an individual business, it's transparent. You just think your locations are connected together and on one, kind of individual network, even though your individual network is riding on the same infrastructure as a lot of other individual networks. We can securely tie those together so your stuff looks essentially like it's your own, even though you're sharing a lot of resources. And I think you're going to hear a lot more about that coming up. For voice. So voice is kind of interesting, right? The trends are, we don't think a lot about voice anymore. We almost take it for granted. However, it's still the primary way we communicate with our friends and family, and the reliability of basic voice is critical. But one of the trends that we do see is voice over IP, right? It went from, all of us have heard of Vonage, the ability to do voice over IP at home. For small businesses, there's IP PBXs instead of traditional PBXs. There's hosted IP PBX-like capability. And so where you could have an IP phone, really a phone with an Ethernet connection in the back, or you could still use your traditional phone as an adapter that connects into the data network. So there's a couple different ways. And literally, in my opinion, in late 2007 throughout 2008, this really has become commonplace. With Vonage and other things like that, and I'll use Vonage only because that's an example that we can all maybe understand from a home perspective. The technology really went from being, working fairly well to essentially working as good as the telephone service that we're used to. And so similarly, the IPPBX or the hosted IPPBX, it's really finally become to the point where it is as reliable or perceived to be as reliable as traditional phone service. And so now we're really seeing the adoption take off throughout the U.S. and the world. The other thing is unlimited calling plans. As we all know, the cell phone companies really drove this, unlimited local and long distance. We all assume we're going to get that now. Even small, medium businesses saying, hey, just bundle it together. Don't be charging me per minute stuff. So there's different billing plans that are now come about, and because the underlying technology gets cheaper, and if we could do more things over IP technologies and your voice and your data over a common network, we can start doing, there's more flexibility in terms of pricing and combining things. All right, and then I'll just throw other applications. I think, again, you're going to hear more about this coming up after me as well, and that's things like how we can do voicemail, instead of having answering machines or some of those devices at your home or in your office. You could do hosted messaging and actually get really advanced type of stuff with voice recognition and text-to-speech, those types of capabilities. Security backup, right? So a lot of small businesses are saying, wow, more and more of my stuff is riding on these data networks. I have so much information stored on my computer or hard drive. So there's companies that basically say, hey, we'll help you with that. We'll help you with your security. We'll help you with your data warehousing. We'll help you with your data backup type capabilities, video conferencing, et cetera, right? So these are the trends that we see in small, medium business where they're looking to the phone companies like Westelcom to say, hey, how can you help me? And I think you're going to hear about lots of variations of this coming up after me. And we touched on wireless, right? The notion is how do I tie wireless to the wireline stuff that I'm doing? And there's continued growth there. We still need to do a little bit more. I mean, the wireless network is a separate network from the wireline network today. There are lots of things that we're doing in the standards and with technology to tie those together, but we're not there yet. So I think that's still a couple of years out to have real wireline, wireless conversion.